He didn't slowly become important to me. He just was. From the very beginning. We started talking one night. And somehow, that one conversation turned into something I didn't expect. Because it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like small talk. It felt easy. Natural. Like I had known him longer than I actually had. Hi, this is Breakup Diaries. This story was shared anonymously. And it's about the kind of connection that feels real. Until it suddenly is. At first, it was just messages. Simple conversations that somehow stretched into hours. Then it became routine. Good morning texts. Random check-ins during the day. Late-night talks that went deeper than I was used to. We didn't just talk. We opened up. About things we didn't usually tell people. Past experiences. Things that hurt us. Things we were still trying to understand about ourselves. And that's what made it different. It wasn't surface level. It felt genuine. Like he actually saw me. And I saw him too. That's what pulled me in. Because connections like that don't happen often. At least, not for me. And the more we talked, the more it started to feel like something more than just conversation. Not rushed. Not forced. Just naturally becoming part of my life. He became part of my routine. Part of my day. Part of my thoughts. And without even realizing it, I started to depend on it. On him. Because when something feels that consistent, that real, you don't stop to question it. You just believe it. It didn't take long for it to feel normal. It's not new. Not exciting in a chaotic way. Just consistent. Like it had always been there. We talked every day. And not just quick messages. Real conversations. The kind that make time disappear without you noticing. We'd start talking at night. And suddenly it was 2 a.m. Neither of us wanting to end it first. It became something I looked forward to. Something I expected. And slowly. Something I needed. He made it easy. That's what made it dangerous. He remembered small things about me. Checked in when I was quiet. Noticed when something felt off. And responded in a way that felt genuine. Not forced. Not performative. Just there. And when someone shows up like that consistently, you don't question it. You trust it. We started talking about more than just our days. About where we saw ourselves. What we wanted in life. What we had been through. It wasn't labeled. But it didn't feel casual either. There was something unspoken between us. Something growing. And I felt it. Even if we never said it directly. That's why I didn't hold back. I let myself feel it. Let myself believe it meant something. Because everything about it felt real. And when something feels that real, you don't prepare for it to disappear. You don't expect it to end without warning. You just trust that it won't. If you've ever had a connection like this, where everything felt right without trying, let me know in the comments. Because I want to know. Did it stay real? Or did it end like mine did? At first, I didn't notice it. Or maybe I did, and just chose not to see it for what it was. Because when something becomes part of your routine, you don't question small changes. You adjust to them. That's what I did. His replies got a little slower. Not drastically, just enough to feel different, but not enough to call it out. At least not at first. I told myself he was busy. That life happens. That people don't always have the same energy every day. And that made sense. It was reasonable. So I accepted it. But then it kept happening. The consistency that once felt effortless started to feel unpredictable. Some days, he was exactly the same. Present. Engaged. Like nothing had changed. And other days, it felt like I was talking to a different version of him. Short replies. Long gaps. Less depth. And that's where the confusion started. Because nothing was clearly wrong. But nothing felt the same either. I didn't want to overreact. Didn't want to be that person who questions everything. So I stayed quiet. Watched. Waited. Hoping it would go back to how it was. Because I believed in what we had. Or at least, what I thought we had. But deep down, there was a part of me that knew something was shifting. Something I couldn't control. And maybe never really could. There wasn't a warning. No build-up. No final conversation. Just silence. At first, I didn't think much of it. A few hours passed. Then more. I sent a message. Nothing serious. Just something normal. Something we would usually talk about. No reply. That wasn't unusual. Not anymore. So I waited. Told myself he'd respond later. That he always did. But this time, he didn't. The day went by. Still nothing. I checked my phone more than I wanted to admit. Rereading our last conversation. Looking for something I might have missed. Something that could explain it. But everything looked normal. That's what made it worse. Because there was no reason. No argument. No distance the day before. Just nothing. The next day, I tried again. Another message. Still no response. That's when it started to feel real. Not just a delay. Not just bad timing. But something else. Something I didn't want to name yet. I called. It rang. No answer. I wasn't blocked. He didn't disappear completely. He just stopped showing up. And that was the part that didn't make sense. Because how do you go from talking every day to nothing at all? Without a word. Without an explanation. Without even a goodbye. The hardest part wasn't the silence. It was what came with it. The questions. The constant need to understand something that didn't make sense. I kept checking my phone. Even when I knew there was nothing new. Rereading messages. Looking for clues. For signs that I might have missed something. Something that could explain why everything just stopped. But there was nothing. No shift big enough to justify it. No moment where things clearly changed. And that's what made it so confusing. Because I wasn't just missing him, I was trying to figure out what was real. If the connection we had meant what I thought it did, or if I had just believed in something that wasn't there. I questioned everything, every conversation, every late-night talk, every moment that felt genuine, trying to understand if it was real for him, or just real for me. And that kind of thinking, it messes with you. Because you don't just lose the person, you lose your sense of clarity, your ability to trust what you felt. And that's what I struggled with the most. Not knowing if I was wrong about everything, or if he just chose to disappear without caring what it would do to me. At some point, you stop waiting. Not because you got an answer, but because you realize you're not going to get one. That's where I found myself. Still confused. Still questioning. But slowly. Starting to accept something I didn't want to. That his silence was the answer. Not a clear one. Not a kind one. But an answer regardless. Because someone who wants to be in your life doesn't disappear without a word. They don't leave you guessing. They don't leave you questioning everything you shared. And that realization didn't come all at once. It came slowly. Through days of thinking. Of replaying everything in my head. Until I finally understood something simple. It didn't matter why he left. It mattered that he did. Without respect. Without explanation. Without closure. And that told me everything I needed to know. So I stopped looking for answers. Stopped trying to understand him. And started focusing on what I deserved. Because whatever we had, it may have felt real. But real connections don't end like that. Not without a word. Not without care. And even now, I still think about it sometimes. Not about him, but about the way it ended. And I wonder, is silence worse than the truth? Even when the truth hurts.